Hello again, back to Websy Wonky's channel. I wanted to talk about something that I've heard for a while now, and I just want to give my thoughts and input on it, and maybe um, pull some cards just for clarification. Um, and what I want to talk about is about the divine masculine and the divine feminine. I think a lot of people confuse that with your gender, which it's fine to look at it that in some way because you think of, masculine, they're about, taking charge, almost like a father figure. Like I believe it's about, uh, because when it comes to like the divine masculine, divine feminine, a divine feminine she gives like a mother would. So it's like almost this nourishing mother. So she gives and receives, and or the divine feminine she gives, and then the divine masculine receives. I believe I could be wrong on that. But I'm still learning as it is. But yeah, a lot of people misconstrue the concept when it comes to, divine feminine and divine masculine. They hold it to, your gender. But it's really about the energies that you're coming across as. Like for me personally, I am a female. But I have a tendency to take on this charged masculine energy, which is not a bad thing, but sometimes it can be very difficult, especially when, you got the right side of the brain, which is the ego, which is the masculine side, and then you got the divine, the feminine side, which is, almost like the Holy Spirit, and is all about creativity. So if you can kind of like figure out where you're at when it comes to, the divine masculine and divine feminine, then you can understand it a lot better. So it really doesn't have to do with what gender you are. It just has to do with the energy you're coming across as. There's a lot I want to say on this topic, but I just want to get to the point, make it simple, not long and drawn out. But like for me, like I said, I feel like yes, I am a female, but I come across as this energy of a masculine. So I was kind of give my feeling of what each of us are going through, kind of like energy, but just I wanted to clarify, what is the divine masculine, what is divine feminine. So I kind of gave like an introductory or intro of what exactly that is. Um, I feel like too, a lot of people put down men for acting feminine or coming across as very caring or very nourishing like a mother would, which to me is kind of BS because I feel like when you look at, whatever gender you are, it's all about how you were raised. It's all about how, your mother and your father was. Whether one was more giving and one was more receiving, or one took more charge and one just stand on the sidelines, which there's nothing wrong with that. It's just like for me in my upbringing, I felt like my mother, a lot of it is, passed down to generation. I felt like my mother most of the time took charge and took responsibility, and my father was more of a peacemaker and all, which is great because it's like it doesn't have to be a bad thing, but some people can make it into a bad thing, control, and stuff. But I just feel like they kind of balanced each other out with that. But like I was saying, I feel like a lot of people look at men who are have this nature about them that they're overly sensitive as a bad thing. Some people take as, men aren't supposed to cry, when in reality we all have emotions. And like me, as I love astrology, I look into it and stuff, and the different signs and zodiacs, it all comes down to, what are your signs? What is your sun sign? What is your moon sign? And what is your rising sign, which, around the time you were born, what did it transition to? So I think that has a lot of bearing on it. Because, like, for me, like I've said before, I'm a Cancer sun with a Libra moon and a Pisces rising sign. So I'm, sometimes Cancers can be, a mother figure, which we come across as that. Most people, very caring, very loving. But sometimes, there are some women Cancers who have that masculine role. Maybe they didn't have it growing up, or maybe their mother was more of the masculine than their father in some way. And I feel like that's where I get a lot of, my personality from. Where other people, they have a mother who, um, gave them that more of, like, if you're a male, gave you more of that feeling of what it's like to, care about people and be very emotional. Like maybe your mother was there, or your father was there for you, vice versa. Or in some cases, I feel like some fathers, if you don't really have a father in your life, it can affect your upbringing, where you carry on this um, almost masculine energy. And if your mother's not there, then it affects you, so forth. Um, but like, to not get too drawn into it, I just feel like people need to not stop labeling each other as, it's a wrong thing if a man um, cries, or, it's a wrong thing if women are supposed to take charge. I feel like there needs to be a balance with that. Don't overly control people, or don't over manipulate people, but just try to use it in more of a caring type of feel. Take on, like, if you're more on the masculine side, I feel like you need to use it to not your take people advantage, but use it in a way to, stabilize the home, stabilize the relationship, like kind of let it flow. And if you take more of the feminine side, either gender, you use it to, flow with it, not go against it or hit each other, like two heads fighting each other, kind of like a ram would do, two rams hitting each other, they're going against each other instead of flowing together, because that's how it works. And like, I came across this one, it's an anime where it kind of gave that feeling of the feminine, the divine feminine and the divine masculine. I think a lot of it too is, like kind of the story Adam and Eve, where one without the other can't really function well, can't really flow well. So it's like in the anime that I saw, I forgot the name of it, where the divine feminine, she didn't really know how to love. And then once that, or it could be vice versa, I don't remember exactly, so don't quote me on that, where the divine masculine needed that divine feminine to really flow. And it's like, I'm not saying if you're not in a relationship, you can love yourself. You can almost, in some way condition yourself to give and receive, kind of like the divine feminine and divine masculine. But in the anime, it showed that, in some way, there was a time and a place that there was war. And once the divine feminine learn what love was really, that you need two people to really come together to love in this world. It brought on the idea the divine feminine completes each other in some way. um, but that's enough said about that. I was just gonna give like a little mini energy reading about the divine um, masculine and divine feminine. 3 cards for the divine feminine. Divine feminine ones. Divine feminine. Yeah, 2 cards. So we have the Queen of Cups and the Hangman. See if we can get one more card for the divine feminine. Okay, so we have the Seven of Pentacles in reverse, and then divine masculine. Okay, then King of Wands. 2 more cards for divine masculine. 6 of Swords. Okay, the Empress. I was going to start with the divine feminine, and that was at the bottom of the deck in reverse. 2 of Swords. And I'll just a little bit what I feel from, just observing things going on with, just the female in general. I feel like us women who are the feminine, like I said, if you carry this energy, which is great. So it doesn't matter if you're actually, a male or female, but I feel like for the females that carry this energy, I feel like a lot of us have been feeling like there's unresolved things that haven't really been addressed, or there's things maybe we feel like we're not getting the answers we need. Like we've gone through this harsh energy, or this because a lot of us had to carry on this masculine energy where we really couldn't be ourselves 100%. This may not apply to everyone, but I feel like a lot of us have been almost the Queen of Swords, where we feel like, here we have the message, or here we have, our information that we need, but yet how are we supposed to grow from that? How are we supposed to move on with that type of energy? We've been given all this information, and then we have the Hangman. So I feel like we're kind of in a stuck period, us as women in general, where we feel like, whether it's with this masculine energy or, people that we're dealing with in a regular basis, where we're not getting the justice served. We're not getting all the facts to move on in life whenever, we've had to deal with this, kind of feeling very emotional. And I feel like, too, men in general, I feel like they had to carry on this, or they've been going through this transition period where they've had to carry on this unexpected feminine energy, not in a bad way, but like where they're becoming more emotional. They're becoming more in tune with their emotional side, that it's been really hard. And some of them, I know I personally have had where they feel like their heart is expanding, their heart is opening. It can go either way, I feel like, but I feel like the roles have been switched, where if you are a male, you're starting to feel more emotional. You're starting to feel more in tune with who you are as yourself, and you're trying to come into that. Now, for the female, I feel like the female, whether in general or just the feminine energy, they've been experiencing this recharge, almost like re-evaluation of who they are as an individual. And I feel like in some way the masculine have been jealous of that, or vice versa, where we're coming into this place where we know who we are. And I think in some way that scares the masculine. But just by these energies from the cards, it looks like, us female energy, we've really, we've gathered the information, or we know of things, but it's getting us stuck with, we have things in front of us, but yet we don't have the information. So we're stuck, we're stagnant, and we can't really grow. But I feel like some of us are trying to grow, things in our life, but we're kind of stuck with the information. Now, for the masculine, it is Aries season, so King of Wands. So I feel like a lot of the masculine energy is trying to take charge for their life, is trying to, reflect on things that their perception, their, reality. And I feel like too, they've walked away. So if you do carry on this masculine energy, I feel like a lot of the masculine energy has walked away from things that cause them stagnant, stuck, kind of like the female, or the divine female, where she was stuck for a long time. And I feel like in order for the masculine to move her, or to move the energy, he had to let go of some things. Because I know a lot of just male energy in general, some of them have left people behind, some of them had to walk away, and the fire pushed them, because this type of energy pushed them to see a better perception, and therefore they're really, stepping into their power. So I feel like when it comes to the masculine energy as well as the feminine, men are starting to see things from a different perspective, and they're really learning what it is, what they want, what they require in this relationship, and what they will not allow. And I feel like a lot of men have stepped away from not necessarily their responsibility. Now, some have, but I feel like they're taking charge for their life, their actions, and everything that they want in their lives, and taking on, this energy of the Empress, where, it's kind of switched at the moment, but I feel like each of the, with the cards and how they're showing, each of them are trying to take responsibility. But the feminine, the divine feminine, she's kind of stuck at the moment. She doesn't know what to do, and maybe the divine masculine has shocked her with his rash choices and moving away from difficult times. And this was at the bottom, the Two of Swords. It was in reverse, but I feel like it's in some way, there wasn't maybe a decision that needed to be made. And I feel like, with the divine masculine, some of them have walked away from it, and some of them walked away from their responsibility because they're focused on maybe something else more important to them, or maybe something that caught their eye, their attention. But I feel like, they're just focused on, what works better for them. That's what I'm feeling for the energies. Anyways, I hope this video was helpful in some way. I might start doing these type of videos. I always like to add different things to the channel. So do be on a lookout for that. But yeah, it's no shame if you're, you know, a male and you take on the feminine energy, or it's not a shame if you're a female and you take on these energies. It's just, you know, try to use it as best as you can, you know, collectively, and not being, you know, over controlling or over dominant. I mean, some people like that, but I just feel like whatever energy you come across as, it's just, you know, you need a balance. You know, my with Libra moon, you know, you got to have a balance, just like light and dark. You can't have light without dark, and you can't have dark without light. So anyways, I hope that video is helpful. Bye bye.